Okay, friends. I've built the birdies beds, and I realized that I I misbought. So I bought two of the small that I need, but I needed more small, and somehow I ended up with a medium. That's fine. So I actually made that one a little bit shorter. I left two of the panels off. It won't be the same size as the smalls. It'll just be a little bit longer, but that's okay. I also have was thinking about the best way to make these metal cloches, and it just made more sense, way more sense, to run the hardware cloth around the entire bed because it's curved and the beds are curved, and then cut out a flat top to put on top. So that makes a lot more sense. I think actually ultimately it will be easier than having to cut out two sides that are kind of parabola shaped and like try to make those fit and squeeze and not let any soil show so that the rodents can dig under. So yeah, so I do have the hardware cloth here. Mike brought it up from the backyard. It's really heavy. So what I'm going to do now is roll it out, put the beds on top, cut out, well, first I'll mark it, and then I'll cut that out, and those will be the pieces that go underneath. And then I'll do it again. So basically we'll make two cutouts for each bed, one for the bottom and one for the very top. And then we can run once the beds are filled, then we can run the hardware cloth around the inside of the bed, and put the top on and zip it all up. So yeah, that's going to be the plan. I have been out here working. It took me about 3 hours to build these beds. There's only three of them, but it was a lot of work. My hands are hurting, and my back. So I'm going to take a little break, and then we'll see about starting to cut some of this hardware cloth. It's not that it's all hard work, but it's a lot of bending over and being on my hands and knees. And so my body is hurting. So at least it's a beautiful day. I think it's 76 degrees Fahrenheit. It's gorgeous. I'm hot, but that's only because I've been working. But yeah, it's a really nice day. So I want to, I do want to create a cage for the bed that I already have out there that is all set and ready, because I would like to get the, at least the red acre cabbages in there, because they're getting big, and I think I can put four of them, maybe even all six of them in that one bed and cage it up, and we'll be all good because it's got fresh soil in it, and nothing has grown in it yet. And it's also got irrigation already ready to go. So that is going to be one of the goals. I do have something I need to do with Dylan. Go take care of a friend's doggies while she's away today. So we'll just go up the hill and do that, play with some dogs for a little while. And then when I come back, it'll be later in the day and I'll be able to potentially go do that one bed. If not, I'll just do that in the morning and when it's still even cooler, and get that done and we can plant those cabbages. So this video that you're watching will be over a span of 2 days, because I won't have enough really to make one from today. And tomorrow we can hopefully roughly complete this project. We'll see. I probably will have to buy another roll. Actually, I think there is another roll of this stuff, this 1/4 inch hardware cloth already out at the farm, but I need it out there because I do need to dig out a tulip bed in the perennial garden for the tulips when they come. So that roll is going to be important because otherwise those tulips will all get eaten before they even come up in the spring. So they definitely have to be in a cage. Okay, I'm going to get started trying to roll this out and cut it out. I have two brand new cutting tools for hardware cloth, tin snips basically. One that was highly recommended by the folks at the hardware store who use it to cut hardware cloth. So hopefully this will work. Our old ones that broke were very, very, very old, rusty, and the spring broke, and we had to use them, like this without the spring, which was hard. Plus, they were really dull, and no matter how many times I sharpened them, they just had gotten so wide between the two blades at that point that they just really weren't very effective. So I'm excited to use two new tools. If I was going to be doing this more, I would just buy one of those electric cutters because that definitely is the way to go. All right, I'm going to get started making, using the beds as templates and get some of these panels cut out, and we'll see how far we can get. I won't be able to fill these today because I don't have, or tomorrow because I don't have soil for them. I do have cardboard, so we are going to place them. Once I get the panels cut out, I will put the bottom panel in place and then fill them with cardboard, put them in the garden where they're going to go. Then I just need to place an order for compost that we can then fill them all up with. Okay, back to work. Okay guys, first bed is done. This is definitely a two-person job. I did go ahead and use zip ties because that's the only way I'll be able to get in here without having to unlace everything. Hopefully I have used enough. I said to Mike after we struggled with this to get it on, if this doesn't work, I think I'm giving up. Because I don't know if I can keep fighting this at this point if this doesn't work. Isn't this ridiculous? It's absolutely ridiculous. So we got the other beds in place. I am not going to fill them yet or put the cardboard in there yet because I don't have soil and I don't want to create a new nesting place by putting layers of cardboard in there. So I'm going to leave it empty. I did put the mesh screens down in the bottom, but I can see through that to see if anybody's trying to tunnel under or whatever. So yeah, until we get soil, I'm not going to fill those beds with cardboard. But that is the next step. I still need to buy one more bed and then I have to move one. And so I need to get another bed to go next to this one. And then I'm taking that one over here and I'm going to move it here long ways. But I need to add a couple of panels to it to make it the right length. And there's soil in there that I will just dump out into another bed. So it'll be easy, just kind of backfill into another bed. So this was the goal for today, to get this thing done because I was able to put in the Waltham broccoli seedlings, which are looking rough at this point, and the red acre cabbage, and deeply water. I will continue to deeply water over the next couple days. The irrigation, I had to cut new irrigation to run through because I had to cut tiny holes in the 1/4 inch. The netting is 1/4 inch, the tubing is 1/4 inch, but the tubing is slightly bigger than that. So I had to cut just a tiny hole, but it's definitely not a hole big enough for a rat to, or even a mouse to fit through. Very tiny, basically, I don't know, between 1/4 and 1/2 of an inch. It's very, very small. Anyway, so I reran irrigation, still not working great. I think it's a pressure thing. But once the rains come, that won't matter. And these are winter or fall winter veggies. They're in direct sun. They've been hardened off. They're now planted with irrigation and fertilizer. So now we just have to hope that they grow and nothing eats them. And like I said, I don't know what else I can do. This bed is, it's got mesh on the bottom, it's got mesh all the way around the sides, flush with the sides, and it's got mesh zip tied to the top. And the stuff around the sides is down about 5 inches. So it's deep in there. All right, guys, I don't mean to end on a negative note. I'm grumpy because I feel like I shouldn't have to do this just to have a garden. Okay, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks so much for hanging out. I don't know how much I'll be doing. I think maybe I'll be working at the farm tomorrow. It just depends. There's still stuff to do here, obviously, but since I can't fill these beds and I don't have any seedlings right at the moment that need to go in these beds, then it's, you know, I might as well get out to the farm and get some work done there. So switching my priorities back and forth. Yeah, so that's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden. The chickens say hi. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.